Hey everybody, my name is Yunus Khan and we're group 1. I'm going to briefly walk through you the methodology of study on social comparison and its emotional impact in digital space. So our research asks, how does this social comparison operate within social media, and when and for whom does it become harmful? While previous studies have shown that users are often aware that content online is curated and idealized, people still experience negative emotional effect. We wanted to ensure and understand why that is and how it plays out in people's real lives. So to do this, we used a qualitative research design and phenomenological lens which allow us to explore participant lived experience in depth. We conduct semi-structured one-on-one interview with like 6 participants between age of 21 and 49, which was 3 male and 3 female. The interview protocol focused on movements of social comparison, emotional response, and how those experiences may change over time. We structure an interview guide to ensure consistency, but we also allow flexibility to follow where the conversation naturally lead and give us access to more personal and reflective insights. After transcribing and interviewing, we conduct a thematic analysis to identify shared patterns such as identity, disruption, emotional construct, and platform-specific triggers. This method helps us better understand how social media shape people's mental health and sense of selves in often complicated and contradictory ways. Thank you so much.
A central and consistent theme all across our participants' interviews was the impact of social media. Every single participant shared the understanding that social media is idealized and selectively curated. They are fully aware that what they saw online does not reflect real life. It's a filtered version, often only showing the highlights. But what stood out wasn't just the awareness, it was the emotional contradiction that followed. Despite knowing that the content they saw was not a full, honest portrayal of reality, participants still experienced strong negative emotions. Feelings of self-doubt, envy, and guilt were common all across their interviews. There was a clear disconnect between what they knew and what they felt. One participant shared something really telling. Even though that they knew people are only showing the good side, it still makes me feel bad. That statement captures the emotional tension we saw again and again. Knowing that social media is curated doesn't stop it from feeling real, and it doesn't shield users from feeling its emotional impact. This finding echoes the research of Fidelity, a 2015 study that found awareness of social media's curated nature does not eliminate its emotional impact, particularly in terms of the study focusing on body image. Their studies show that people can intellectually understand that social media is unrealistic, but still experience negative psychological effects from engaging in it. This highlights a core phenomenological approach. Tension. The mind may rationally understand something, but the heart still feels it. And that emotional response can be just as powerful. It's not more than logic. In the end, what our interview reveals is that social media doesn't just reflect our life, it shapes how we feel about them. Even though when we recognize the illusion, it can still hurt. That's the danger of social comparison online, and exactly why we need to take a deeper look into social comparison.
Hey everyone, I'll be presenting finding 2, social comparison impacts identity and self-worth. Across all of our interviews, participants described how social media comparison disrupted their sense of identity and personal value. These disruptions were often triggered by idealized portraits of success, beauty, and lifestyle, leading the participants to question themselves internally. For some, this took on the form of career doubt, like saying, did I make the right choices? Others described deeper emotional responses, such as, it made me feel like I wasn't enough, or I felt ashamed. This directly supports findings by Steinberger and Kim from 2023, who argue that identity is impacted through consistent self-monitoring on social platforms. It also aligns with Vogel et al. From 2014, whose research found a strong link between upward social comparison and negative self-evaluation. Our data also suggests that social media isn't just a tool for entertainment, it becomes a site of existential self-evaluation. One participant, a 21-year-old male gay man, didn't point to a single moment of comparison, but instead described an ongoing tension between how he sees himself and the aesthetic standards of his own community. His reflection shows how identity disruption can persist over time, especially when social media continuously reinforces narrow ideals of success and desirability.
Hi, my name is Kiara, and my team and I conducted structured interviews to explore how individuals experience social comparison on social media. We used a phenomenological approach. The goal was to understand not just what people do online, but how they feel and make meaning from those experiences. One of the most compelling narratives came from a woman who had survived brain cancer. Her account provided rich insight into how illness and recovery shape the way people interpret and internalize social media content, particularly around body image. She described heightened self surveillance and emotional distress when engaging with idolized beauty content during her recovery. This reflects a deeper theme we found: how vulnerability, especially when linked to gender and health, amplifies the psychological effects of social comparison. Unlike male participants who often describe comparison in aspirational or status oriented terms, this participant's experience revealed a more emotionally charged and critical response. For her, the curated images of beauty and perfection were not motivating, they were disempowering. Over time, however, she disengaged from these spaces, reflecting a shift from self comparison to self acceptance. Her narrative highlights a key theme in our study: the deeply embodied, socially conditioned nature of comparison. This underscores the need for further research into how identity, health, and gender mediate our digital experiences. Thank you.
Hello everyone, Andrew speaking here. And today I will be talking about our group study in which we interview multiple people about their experiences with comparison on social media. And one major theme that came up was how comparison can be both motivating and discouraging, but often that motivation doesn't really last. And one thing we realized was most of the participants said at first seeing people's success or progress online pushed them to do better, which made them want to improve their own lives, but over time, that energy slowly faded away. And for many, it turned to burnout, self doubt, or even disengagement. As Arrigo and colleagues point out, comparison might give you a temporary boost, but often leads to a negative emotional effect, and how digital spaces can create both inspiration and discouragement. Depending on how people process what they're seeing, and Hancock reminds us that even when things look aspirational on the surface, comparison can hide deeper feelings of dissatisfaction. The people we spoke with reflected the exact pattern. One person, one person commenting how the motivation fades, then you're just back to scrolling. These comments show how easily motivation can shift into pressure and how that pressure can become emotionally exhausting. But not everyone had a negative experiences. Some participants had a more nuanced perspective. Instead of letting comparison bring them down, they used it as a tool for growth. With one participant talking about using comparison to reflect and improve while still being aware of its emotional impact. That's kind of the mindset. Motivated but self-aware. Overall, we found lineups with the research. Comparison through social media can motivate, but it can also wear people down. It's all about how you engage with it and whether you're doing it on your terms or not. Thank you.